Samuel chapter 10 and part of 11. We would title this sermon, Being Where You're Supposed to Be. Kind of ironic, huh? Now in 2 Samuel chapter 10, this is after Saul had died, and David is now the king of Israel. And there are some enemies of Israel, like the Ammonites, and they have been getting together with some other folks and trying to rise up against Israel. Well, the king of the Ammonites, he died, and his son Hanun succeeded him as king. So there's a new king. David sent a delegation of folks to go down there and let them know that they're sending their condolence, as you often do when someone loses a loved one. Now, in doing this, there was a bunch of folks in Hanun's ears saying, he don't really mean this. This is not really about condolence. What he's trying to do is send some spies. And they're exploring the city, and what they're going to do is wind up overthrowing it. You know, when you get to listening to your friends, sometimes it's not the best advice. It was genuinely just sending condolences. That's all it was. So Hanan had these guys. He shaved off, this is down in verse 4, he shaved off half of their beard, which was like, that was a very big honor to have a long beard. Said he cut off their garments in the middle at the buttocks and sent them away. So he turned their long robes into skirts, mini skirts, and shaved their beards off and sent them on their way. They were humiliated. All right? When David was told about this, he sent messengers to meet the men. And the king said, stay at Jericho till your beards have grown back, and then come back. When the Ammonites realized that they had become a stench in David's nostrils, they knew that they were fixing to be in trouble. They were going to have to go to war. So this is what the Ammonites did. They hired 20,000 Aramean foot soldiers from Beth Rehob and Zobah, as well as the king of Makkah with 1,000 men, and also 12,000 men from Top. So what they did was they sent out, I guess, like job notices, and they got all these different armies. They hired to come and fight alongside of them to take on King David in Israel. So you got to understand, these people, Israel's right here in the middle. And all of these folks are all around them from all these different places. So they're going to converge and get together and basically have the Israelites trapped, one on one side and on the other. Now, Joab was kind of like the general of David's army. He was like his right-hand man. And Joab saw that there were battle lines in front of him and behind him, so he selected some of the best troops in Israel, and he sent them out against the Arameans. He put the rest of his men under the command of Abishai, his brother, and sent them against the Ammonites. Joab said, if the Arameans are too strong, then you're to come to my rescue, but if the Ammonites are too strong for you, then I'll come to your rescue. Be strong, let's fight bravely for our people and the cities of God. The Lord will do what is good in your sight. And that's what they did. Joab and the troops, they advanced to fight the Arameans, and they ran. Then the Ammonites saw that the Arameans were running, and they ran. So Joab returned from fighting the Ammonites, and he came to Jerusalem. And after the Arameans saw that they had been routed by Israel, they regrouped. And Hadadezer had Arameans brought from beyond the river. That's the and to Elam would show back the commander of this other army. So, first battle, we got them trapped. And the Israelites march toward them, and they both run. Okay? After they run, they regroup. They get some more people to come. So now they have solidified their forces. They've gotten more people. Because back in this time, it wasn't about technology and smart weapons and stuff like that. It was about sheer numbers. Okay? Whoever had the most horses or the most chariots and the most foot soldiers would win a battle. Unless it was not God's will. When David was told of this, all these folks gathered. He gathered all of Israel, the whole army, and he crossed the Jordan River, and he went to Elam. The Arameans formed their battle lines to meet David, and they fought against him, but they fled before Israel. And David killed 700 of their charioteers, and 40,000 of their foot soldiers, and he struck down Shobak, the commander of the army, and he died there. When all the kings who were vassals or like lords of these other places, when all of them were defeated by Israel, they made peace with the Israelites, the ones that were left, and they became subjects of King David. So David was out there doing what David was supposed to be doing. At this point, they had already wrote the song that said, Saul has slain his thousands and David has slain his 10,000. I mean, he had already beat Goliath. He had become king. He had won all these different victories, and he had won another victory. It says the Arameans were afraid to help the Ammonites anymore. So he busted up that little alliance. And here he is once again ruling and got more people on his side. Now in chapter 11 it says, in the spring, at the time when kings go off to war, David sent Joab out with the king's men and the whole Israelite army. They destroyed the Ammonites and besieged Rabbah, but David remained in Jerusalem. Here's where it all falls apart for King David. When you are like living in sin and you're just a sinner, okay? And you get saved, you understand that there is a way to be saved, to have forgiveness of your sins. You learn this, and you come to Jesus in faith. At that point, you have won a big battle. Okay? You have gained an eternal life. You have joined forces with God, the creator and ruler of the universe. That's a good team to be on. That does not mean that you just stop fighting. Because there are going to be battles that you have to keep on fighting. And the moment that you think you can take it easy or skip a battle because of your position, that is usually when you lose the worst. David had won all of these battles because God was with him. He was a man after God's own heart, and it was almost as if God was leading the army instead of David. When David decided not to go, the army didn't lose the fight. God was still blessing Israel. But David, he wound up being somewhere where he wasn't supposed to be. Y'all read the rest of chapter 11, that's where he meets Bathsheba. Instead of being off on the field in war, leading his people, he was at home, up on a rooftop, checking out somebody else's wife. He called for her. He lay with her. He got her pregnant. Then he had her husband killed. And then he took her as a wife. And then their baby died. And finally, after the prophet Nathan shows up, and, well, the baby hadn't died yet, but the prophet Nathan shows up and just lays it on him. David realizes the way of his wrongs, and Nathan even tells him that the baby's not going to live. And there's going to be turmoil in your house from now on. One time. One time is all it takes. One decision is all it takes to wreck the rest of your life. Now, you will still be forgiven. You will still go to heaven. You will still sit before the throne of an almighty God with crowns to lay at the feet of Jesus one day. But while we're here, one thing, or one time when we're not where we're supposed to be, everything can just fall apart. How many of y'all think about that? Let me tell y'all something. That keeps me up at night. That has caused me somewhat painful also, thinking about that. If you don't think that you are in a battle, you just need to wake up. Because there is a spiritual battle going on right now between Satan and God, and it ain't let up in thousands of years, and it's not going to let up until it's over. If Satan can get to you, Christian, in any kind of way, he will. And all it takes is you letting your guard down one time, or not being wholeheartedly in the battle. And if you're not thinking about things that can destroy you, it's not to stress you out and make you worry. It's so that you can face these battles head on. David didn't lose the battle even though he wasn't there. Still won the battle. We're not going to lose these battles. You're going to get scarred up. But that's where the joy comes in. Because there's more and more and more scars on you that ain't stopped you yet. Pretty soon you start realizing, you know, I think I'm invincible. I don't think that this enemy that's trying to destroy me can destroy me. All of a sudden it's like, you know what? I trust God more now. Okay? That eases up the worry. It eases up the stress that you have in your life, worried about, you know, what's going to get me next. I mean, that's like being afraid of the boogeyman. But Satan ain't the boogeyman. You know, I mean, he's worse than the boogeyman, but he's not going to be able to defeat us. I suppose you're supposed to have a certain amount of measured respect for what Satan can do without having any respect for who he is. You know, and that's kind of tough to see sometimes, how we're supposed to balance that. The only way that I know that you can balance that is to understand what is God's will for your life. Okay? Looking through the Bible, the whole Bible, from the start to the finish. I'm talking about the table of contents back to the maps. Wherever you look, God has a place for you. Okay? That's God's will for you. Some people's will is not to make it very long. I think the will for some people's life is to get cancer and to die a horrific death and then go to be with their Creator. But it's to speak to those people that are left behind. There's battles for all of us, and they're all unique. We're not supposed to be afraid of these battles because of who it is we're fighting with and who we're fighting for. You know, it's a very hard thing. It's just like thinking about the decision with this boy. I mean, could it be a lifelong altering decision? You know, could it be where he may be one of those that never walk through a church door? You know, could it be something like that? Or could it be a lesson that he needs to learn about listening and doing what you're told to do? it's a thing that has to be bathed in prayer, and you have to follow God's will for that. Because you can mess it up. I've done made those mistakes a few times before. And, oh man, they don't feel good when you do. That right. I remember when we was living in Rockford. I just started serving in the church. Hadn't been for a real long time. I started driving the church van, ironically. Kids were just hollering, just being stupid. And I just slapped the dash. Shut up! Had enough. That's all I'm saying. The devil was mad at me. They won't ever go back to that church and holler at kids. I'm like, I mean, on the inside, I knew that was nowhere near as bad as my bus driver hollered at me on the yellow public school bus. But it broke my heart that they wouldn't go back to church. I mean, and I got down at the altar that Wednesday night, I squalled and cried. You know, God taught me a lot that night about, you know, there's a lot bigger picture going on around you than just what you see. It's crazy. Then I was a wedding for a couple of them young women.
Yeah, her husband was born over at the line.
Yeah, they got in trouble and their sister told them, so they made out like they did. They were cussed at them, you know, our cuss kids out and stuff like that. I know. I got a lot of work. But it all worked out. And now every time I see their daddy, I think he's got me mixed up with Jeff Hardy. But he talks to me like we're best buddies. And him and Jeff were a lot closer than he and I were. But he calls me Jason. But it's like we're, you know, he thinks a lot of me. Like we're really close. I don't see him like once every 5 years. But it all worked out. You can't avoid the battle. They're all around us. Don't ever take a break from the battle. You got to fight them all. And just trust that God's going to do the right thing. God is going to produce for you a victory. But you can really make your life a lot worse if you just decide I'm not going to fight. We got to fight for what's right. You know, we got to be willing to do the hard stuff. David, you know, at this point, I mean, I don't know. I like to speculate when I read the Bible sometimes. Like, I wonder what if he had already seen Bathsheba, and is that the reason why he didn't go to war? Because he didn't notice this chick over here bathing on the rooftop. He was like, y'all go on, I'm busy. You know, I wondered that before. Like, he could have. Maybe he was just tired of fighting. You know, he had been in a few battles. You know, he killed Goliath. Maybe he got to the point where he was like, somebody else go on and take care of it. I'm older now. It's somebody else's time to shine. I'm going to get out of the way and let some of these youngsters have that. You ever feel that way? And, you know, it's a natural thing to feel that way. If you're still alive, then you're still in the fight, right? I mean, your mode of battle might change. You might not be one of those horseback riders with a sword and whatnot, but, you know, you can still fling some fiery sword from your knees. I would just help y'all. Hope it helps you to think about the battle going on there and how you fight it better. Fight it with faith in the Lord. You are going to win. There's no doubt about that. I even read the last page. I don't want to spoil it for any of y'all, But, Satan loses bad. He gets locked up and the keys thrown away. I don't even know if there was a key, but there is a lock. You know, he's locked up and it's sealed for the rest of time. So he's going to lose. Can't have y'all.